The 20% of people that maybe would still consider voting Liberal do not follow politics, which is a part of the Liberal playbook. Like, be as disgusting as you can so that people don't watch. The cognitive dissonance, the hypocrisy in the Liberal Party is palpable, man. They clear out a room. No one even knows what to say back to the lies and myths, truths that they're telling. Every single Liberal that I watch seems worse than the last one until the next one.
Shame on you. I'm done.
This is about protecting.
We can't do this anymore. No wonder nothing gets done in this country.
Over our bodies.
Shame on you. And I want to state from a survivor's perspective, Trudeau doesn't care, Ford doesn't care, Arif doesn't care, and the government doesn't care.
Leader of the opposition has asked Conservative chaired committees to hold as many meetings as possible during the summer to take us away from the important work that we're doing listening to our constituents. And we also know that in this case, it was a few days' notice. We were not given, any of the members except Conservatives, the opportunity to put forth witness names.
Megan Walker, a longtime advocate for women, says she's never seen anything like this, and if Liberals wanted to pick their own witnesses, they could vote for more meetings instead of derailing this one. She was especially critical of Vandenbeld.
She has betrayed women and girls across this country who are hopeful that one day there will be change. One day they will not have to walk through their communities in fear. One day they will be considered to be human beings instead of objects.
Kate Alexander was to testify 3 years to the day after she was brutally assaulted by an ex-partner, suffering wounds so severe she feared she wouldn't survive. The charges against him were stayed due to the time it took to go to trial.
I said in my testimony, this government doesn't care, and she literally proved my point.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
Shameless bullies. These Liberals are repulsive. In this video, we're going to take a look at the disaster that this worthless tramp, Anita Vandenbeld, is. She's a disgusting human being. I don't mean physically, she is that way too, but it's her way of being, I guess, that is the worst part. She pulls stunts. She obviously hates women. Most women are great. I don't even consider this specimen, this scourge, this bully, this cry wolf. I don't consider her human. She's something else. She's a Liberal caucus Kool-Aid cult member. Like, you can see, again, another one of these swollen, disgusting life forms taking away the good things we had in Canada and never wants to give them back. It's unforgivable. On a lighter note, we've got Michelle Ferreri, one of our favorite MPs. This is a politician that I do trust. She's a real person. You can see her frustration with the tactics that this cow, Anita Vandenbeld, is presenting. Who in the hell voted for this chick? Like, she has nothing to offer. Obviously, she can't even control her diet. How much Kool-Aid did you drink? What are they putting in that Kool-Aid? Oh, it's a lot to handle.
We'll give the floor to Miss Alexander to start. You have 5 minutes.
Fortunate to be here today. I'm supposed to be dead. On July 31st, 2021, exactly 3 years ago today, I sent the 2-word WhatsApp message, "Please help," to a friend who thankfully believed me. My ex was beating me. All 6'3", approximately 250 pounds of him, because he couldn't find his car keys. For 4 hours, with his fists, his feet, a wooden rolling pin, door wells, he split my head open in 3 places, gouged my eyes out with his thumbs, kicked my ribs, and tortured me in ways I can feel but can't fully describe. I do not know how my body survived it. My ex enjoyed what he did to me. He threatened to kill my family. The police were going to leave me for dead, but my former neighbor intervened. And after all that, guess what your criminal and justice system gave me? A peace bond. All 8 charges, 5 in the provincial and 3 in the federal, were stayed against my ex. And I can't say his name because it will forever be known as alleged abuse. I ask of you exactly what I asked Justice Himmel, who had the tears in her eyes on March 26, 2024, when I received the peace bond. Why does he abuse, and why is he allowed to get away with it? He abuses because he is publicly and personally rewarded for it, and he is allowed to get away with it because you, the government of Canada, lets him. Abuse is a choice, a moral failing, and it is also inexcusable. Even 3 years later, my ex is still abusing me. I am suing him as the only form of legal justice I have left, and he has put in a meritless counterclaim as a continuation of abuse against me. He states I was self-injurious and I stole his Rolex after. He is lying under oath. You will listen to me because I am Caucasian, educated, and a member of an industry which holds space in the public eye. But these issues have been plaguing people everywhere across the nation for so long in the dark corners. But now we are in the light. We will shine until there is retribution. We will break the stigmas down into the nothingness that they are. There are no stereotypical victims. There are only stereotypical abusers. IPV and SA happens in all cultures, all socioeconomic statuses, races, ages, genders, but so predominantly with women and children. Today is not about me. Today is about us and what this means going forward. You have granted me the honor of speaking on behalf of all men, women, non-binary, and children, survivors of violence. And I want to state from a survivor's perspective, Trudeau doesn't care, Ford doesn't care, Arif doesn't care, and the government doesn't care. The government doesn't care about Courtney Goudreau, who faced potential charges and jail time for speaking the name of her convicted abuser when a publication ban was implemented without her consent. The government doesn't care about Brian and Suzanne Sweeney, whose daughter Angie was shot to death along with 3 innocent children. Brett and Jessica Broadfoot, whose daughter was stabbed to death 2 weeks ago at age 17, leaving behind her absolutely incredible 15-year-old brother, Lucas. The government doesn't care about Melanie Hatton, who fled BC to Ontario after nearly being murdered by her ex-partner. She suffers long-term traumatic brain injury and still lives in fear daily with her 2 children, and now owes $300,000 to the CRA because her ex bankrupted her. The government doesn't care about Tanya Couch, who was sexually assaulted by her former commanding officer and cadets, but the military police failed to investigate it properly. The case was finally reopened, leading to 3 sexual assault charges, ultimately being stayed after the defense used Section 278 of the Criminal Code to subpoena 7 years of Tanya's personal counseling records. The government doesn't care about Alexa Barkley, who has suffered multiple SA throughout her life, with only one of her abusers receiving a mere 6 months of house arrest for child sexual assault. Or Daniela Halmos, whose ex has been arrested 6 times and faces 27 charges but is still allowed to go free. And despite
Total number of femicides in Canada between 2019 and 2023 is 840. 840 dead women. The year after year increases significance, yet here we are, and the government hasn't called it a crisis or epidemic. The government, in fact, hasn't addressed it at all. Current government strategies to end femicide, whatever they are not working. If they were, we would see a decrease in femicide rates. I'm hard-pressed to know what those strategies are, or even if there are strategies. Male violence against women and femicide are preventable, and immediate action has to be taken to end this crisis now.
Another one of my favorites here to watch is Michelle Ferreri. She's amazing. Slippery out here, actually. Anyway, Michelle Ferreri is the bomb. Let's take a peek.
To remind all of those in the room, all of the members posing questions, that we are here about intimate partner violence against women, so let's try and keep our focus there. At this point, I would like to welcome Michelle for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to our witnesses. Extremely powerful testimony. To call this a crisis is an understatement, and the connection between each of your testimonies is profound. Kate, I know you wanted to finish and say a few more things, but what jumped off the page of me, what you said, above all of the horrific things, calling it alleged, and you have all of those photos of your assault, publicly and personally rewarded for it. Those are your words of your attacker. Can you expand on what you mean by that legally in Canada?
Thank you for the question. Abusers don't think in the same way that the average person does, and which is why they are able to commit the offenses that you or I wouldn't commit. Abusers get off on the reward of being allowed to commit these offenses. I have video taken of my ex and his enjoyment of what he did to me, and knowing that the government said, well, this isn't a big deal. And I will quote the Crown Attorney, we don't have time for this. So he is publicly rewarded because he feels like he is above the law. He is personally rewarded because he is 6'3" and 250 pounds. He can push me around no matter if I had a black belt or otherwise. He has a son who is in his care, and this was overlooked. There is an open case with CPS. Nothing was done. The federal ombudsman has called on our behalf. Nothing was done. So his rewards are he gets to operate however he chooses to. There are no consequences for his actions, and I guarantee you if he is not stopped, he will be a part of the homicide statistics. He will kill someone. He came damn close to it with me on this day.
The irony of it being on this day and then your testimony today, and I know you flew a long way to testify here today, and I know your parents are also here, and I think one of the things that we don't address is the impact on families and children as well, and I know Deputy Chief talked about this, and I guess what I'm trying to get at the heart of this in this meeting is what changes do we have to do? And you were poignant in saying you have a Canadian passport, but you don't feel safe in this country. And I guess, you know, we have a letter from the premiers, all premiers across this country asking for bail reform. And, you know, you're saying you don't feel safe. It's a publication ban without consent. And to Deputy Chief's point, you have a blatant disregard, so you can see the connection between Kate's testimony and the Deputy Chief's testimony. So if I could go to the Deputy Chief and say, what needs to be done federally? And to Ms. Walker's point, if the money was being spent the way that it's saying it's being spent, we wouldn't see an increase. We would see a decrease. And yet we have the worst numbers we've ever seen. So if I could get the Deputy Chief on record saying what needs to be done, do you agree with this bail reform letter that the premiers have signed, and how much of this can be reversed in policy federally?
Let me first say, really appreciate the question, and I really want to commend everybody that has come here during this meeting, particularly survivors that are sharing their stories. You know, I do agree with the need to create some change, and, you know, the question was very direct. What can be done? And the answer is going to be also very direct and very simple. What we need to begin doing is reprioritize the consideration for victims and survivors in a way that allows them to feel safe in their communities. And at its most basic, we've heard testimony today, and I've spoken to survivors myself, had multiple conversations of people who unfortunately have been targeted or who have experienced similar scenarios. And the reality is they don't feel safe and they don't feel supported by our current system. And so, you know, when a person does build up the courage to notify police who's supposed to protect them, we go and we arrest that person and we charge them. And the idea is that results in that person no longer being a threat. The reality is, from the statistics we've seen and like currently what we're experiencing, is it's quite probable that that person will continue to be a threat to the survivor or the person who's built up the courage in order to engage police. And, you know, at its basic level, that is what needs to change.
Thank you. And I have such limited time, and this is such a big topic, but I think we have to get to the nuts and bolts of it. And I think when we have two bills, C5 and C75, I guess just a yes or no answer from you, Deputy. Are these bills, and Kate said it beautifully, you know, nobody seems to care, but these are policies that if were changed tomorrow, would this give you more freedom to be able to keep people who are at risk of public safety, of hurting more people?
Yeah, we will, you know, definitely it is. We will continue to take advantage of every opportunity and every change we made. And I want to be clear, this is not me advocating. Well, of course, I'm here, I'm wearing a police uniform, and I'm representing Peel Police. But I am really representing my community who is not feeling as though the current system is supporting them and considering their interests in the way they feel and the victimization. So contemporarily, it's not working for our community, and we need to make change. We need to begin looking at issues such as bail, the prevalence of illegal firearms, you know, prioritization of the issues for our community like gender-based violence, human trafficking, and those types of things.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
One of the biggest, most disgusting bullies, cry bully, scourge. This is Anita Vandenbeld. She is oh my God, it's hard to describe how repulsive and worthless and shameless this sow is. It's positively disgusting.
At this point, Anita, you have 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the witnesses for coming here and for your incredible testimony. And I want to reassure you, both of you, but especially Kate, because you said that you don't believe that any of us care. And I want to reassure you very much that all of us on this committee care very deeply. It's why we've done so many studies on intimate partner violence. We've had testimony like yours that is very difficult to hear, but has been very, very important to put recommendations. And we believe you, and we believe others like you. And our government has put many, many measures to try to make sure that the things that happen to you don't happen to others. Numerous bills, Bill C-51 on amending sexual assault laws, C-75 on bail reforms, C-48 now that targets repeat offenders of intimate partner violence, C-28 on intoxication not being used as a defense, C-63 on online harms. We have a national action plan on gender-based violence that has been signed by all the provinces. And we've put $539 million in budget 2022 behind that, something that the Conservatives actually voted against. So I want to start everything that I say by saying that if anyone tries to say that there's anyone in this room who doesn't care about this issue, I think that they are playing partisan games, because people in this room have spent our lives fighting on this issue, listening to that kind of testimony, and I just want to reassure you of that.
So what are you going to do with this worthless waste of blood, fat, and skin? A lot of fat, a lot of skin, probably a lot of spaghetti sauce pumping through those fat veins. She goes full partisan here, completely shuts down the committee, says the vote will take 5 minutes on abortion. Michelle's going to lay it out what's going on here. There are so many other things in this committee. This is a long video in the first place. I'm going to have to do a second part on Leah Gazan, an NDP psycho that's sitting in on this committee, who makes it all about her. She cries. She has a mental breakdown, fakes one anyways. And anyway, let's take a look at this disgusting human being, Anita Vandenbeld. She's trash. She goes full partisan right here, puts a full stop to this meeting. It's embarrassing. These poor witnesses, you can see they're heartbroken by it. These politics, man, are getting real.
I also do, with respect, want to talk a little bit about how this meeting came about. We have had studies that we've all agreed on to talk about these issues. In fact, we're in the middle of a study right now on coercive control, which we have put a number of witnesses that we'd like to hear from as a committee. But we know that the Leader of the Opposition has asked Conservative chaired committees to hold as many meetings as possible during the summer to take us away from the important work that we're doing listening to our constituents. And we also know that in this case, it was a few days' notice. We were not given, any of the members except Conservatives, the opportunity to put forth witness names, which is something that every committee does just out of basic fairness and respect. And I personally would have had a number of witness names that I would have loved to have heard from. In fact, there were witness names added an hour before the meeting so that members didn't even have a chance to plan or prepare what kind of questions we might want to ask. I know that for this committee, this is something we've never done. We do not use victims and survivors' trauma to try to score political points in this committee. This is cruel. I think it's cruel to have people relive the trauma that they've endured just to be able to have a meeting so that if it's not agreed to, then there's all kinds of social media that, you know, Liberals or others don't care about this issue, which, as we all know, we do very deeply. So I know that under the previous chair, this committee worked with great respect for one another. We made sure that the vice chairs weren't even consulted about having this meeting. Yes, it's an emergency. I would have loved to have had an emergency meeting in June so we could have gotten our red dress alert study done before the end of the session. And honestly, we saw yesterday that Karen Vecchio, our former chair, announced she's not running again, which I think is very sad because I believe that this committee has important work to do. And we have done it with great. I have the
to
floor,
actually say all of the points.
Currently, Anita has the floor.
Madam Chair, I would like to move a motion. And the reason I'm moving a motion is because in this committee we've respected each other. There are very important issues that we have said we've adjourned debate.
Is the most important issue we can address.
Debate, and I'm hoping that the committee could vote quickly on this motion, hopefully unanimously, so that we can quickly go back to the study, the witnesses that we have today. If we vote right away, it'll only take 5 minutes. But I would like to resume debate on the motion that we adjourned debate on May 13th, 2022. And the motion reads that the Standing Committee on the Status of Women report to the House that A, access and availability to reproductive health services, no matter where one lives in Canada, including safe and legal abortion, is a charter right and is ensured under the Canada Health Act. And B, the decision to have an abortion made by women, transgender, and non-binary individuals for any reason is their freedom of choice and theirs alone. So, Madam Chair, we have refrained from putting motions like this because of collegiality. But at this moment, we're not, and I hope we can do a vote immediately on this motion, and therefore we can get back to our witnesses right away, and we'll only lose 5 minutes in this meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what people are watching at home right now is we have a debate on the floor. We've called an emergency meeting because Stats Canada released shocking statistics. We've seen an increase 75% in sexual assault since 2015. Total sexual violations against children up 119%.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Point of order, Madam Chair. Miss Gazan hai.
Hear you, Sonia.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Ms. Gazan had her hand up and wanted to speak first. She indicated early that she wants to speak, and the chance is not given to her.
Leah, Anna, what's your point of order?
I'm really disgusted in this whole day, and I want to apologize to the two witnesses for coming all this distance to help us solve a problem that women in this country are being killed and the other parties don't care. I'm disgusted. We need to be talking about this issue so that we can stop.
Yeah.
Shame on you. I'm done.
I know.
We can't do this anymore. No wonder nothing gets done in this country.
Over our bodies.
Shame on you.
Sorry, gang, I know that was a tough one to watch. A lot going on in that committee. But again, I feel like it's my job to show Canadians what is actually happening. You're on a false platform. Trudeau's time is up. You people have to go. Canadians hate you. Like, the 20% of people that maybe would still consider voting Liberal do not follow politics, which is a part of the Liberal playbook. Like, be as disgusting as you can so that people don't watch. The cognitive dissonance, the hypocrisy in the Liberal Party is palpable, man. They clear out a room. No one even knows what to say back to the lies and myths, truths that they're telling. Every single Liberal that I watch seems worse than the last one until the next one. Got a big issue with Anita Vandenbeld today, Jenica Atwin. You and your crooked eyebrows. What's wrong with your forehead? Botox incident? Christ on a bike. Repulsive.
I think our leader, Trudeau, I don't think I've ever heard him say a true word.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
I know this place is where I am.
Check this out. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there? You up there blowing a squirrel, Randy? So, we're gonna take a stroll up. So, what do you think? Hey gang, Aaron right here, Canadian Looney.